Biography of Sinn Sisamouth. His early life. Sinn Sisamouth was born in 1935 in Stung Treng Province, the son of Sin Liang and mother Sub Boon Liai, who was of Lao Chinese descent. He was the youngest of 4 siblings, with 1 brother and 2 sisters. His father was a prison warden in Phnom Penh province, and was then a soldier during the colonial Cambodia period. His father died of disease, and his mother remarried, and the union resulted in 2 more children. Samouth attended Central Province of Stung Treng Elementary School when he was 5. At the age of 6 or 7, he started to show interest in the guitar, and he would be asked to perform at school functions. He was interested in Buddhist scripture, and he learned Pali from the Buddhist monks. He enjoyed reading books, playing soccer and flying kites. In about 1951, he finished elementary school and went to study medicine in Phnom Penh, where he lived with an uncle. Despite the rigorous demands of medical school, Samouth still managed to find time to learn how to sing and compose songs. Just as he had in elementary school, he became well known in his school for his musical skills and lyrical talent, and was asked to sing at school ceremonies. By the time Cambodia was granted independence from France, 1953, Samouth's fine singing voice landed him a spot on national radio as a regular singer. He also continued his studies, working at Phuket Melia Hospital. His music career, early hits and musical talent. Samouth possessed a clear crooning voice, which, combined with his own compositions about the pleasures and pains of romance, made him an idol. He sang many ballads, as well up-tempo rock numbers that featured prominent, distortion-laden guitar, pumping organ and loud, driving drums. Other arrangements were more Latin jazz-sounding, featuring woodwinds, brass, and auxiliary percussion. Samouth composed melodies on a mandolin. His songs were usually of a sentimental nature, reflecting on the longings, pains, and pleasures of romance. His lyrical talent was a result of hard work as well as natural ability. He was known to have used up to 3 different dictionaries in searching for just the right word in the Khmer, Sanskrit, or Pali languages. In the early 1950s, he became a protege of Queen Kosamak Neri Rot. He was selected to join the Vong Prairie Trop classical ensemble of the Royal Treasury, where together with Samouth, he performed at royal receptions and state functions. A number of songs he wrote subsequently bore the unmistakable melancholic melodies of traditional Khmer music he performed in those formative years. Sometime in the mid-1950s, a romantic ballad Viulong Sneha, composed by violinist Harsalorn, catapulted Samouth into stardom. Samouth's other hits of the same period include Sray Shruskmeng, Anu Savri Phnom Kravan, Chong Shrol, Thangay Dob Pithno, Koke, Kong Ray, Thangay Mui Kak Da, Somruch Nakeb, Stung Persat, and Prek Engos Songkum. 3 songs from this period were to be re-released much later in the early 1970s. These are Odom Dung Chet, available from a popular video site, Prek Engos Songkum, and Cho Dork, a clever musical duet with Rosere Sotia, showcasing Ceylon on violin and Samouth on mandolin. Interested readers should look for Chong Shrol and Somruch Nakeb on the internet. Dedicated fans should consider making more of these songs available on the web to future generations of Khmer listeners. They are priceless examples of Samouth's earliest vocal style and the poetry that pervades his art. 1960s Cambodian music scene. Beginning in around 1963, Samouth started recording on the Wat Phnom label. His Champa Bat Dombong won immediate acclaim across the country. In a rare 1971 appearance on Khmer Republic television, Samouth's interviewer recalled that Champa Bat Dombong was the first opening song at the inauguration of the station in 1965. What captured Samouth's audience in this period was the use of a 4-piece, rock and roll band instrumentation with guitars and percussion. A departure from an orchestral backing band of wind instruments, piano, violin, and the odd accordion. He also experimented with Latin music an infatuation that may have been started by Prince Norodom Sihanouk in compositions such as Retrait del Ban Chupek and Phnom Penh. If anything, Samouth's ability to reinvent himself musically and well be his greatest attribute, and could explain his appeal through different generations of Khmer listeners. By the mid-60s, Samouth's fame had reached its zenith and had him in great demand. One measure of his appeal, exemplified in Pray Prasit, Prince Norodom Sihanouk's second full-length feature film, available on the Prince's website. Playing the piano and apparently shown singing the title song he composed, Prince Sihanouk was actually dubbed over by none other than Samouth. Samouth's popularity, nevertheless, did not eclipse the work of other recording artists, notably those who sang at the national radio, such as Song Siem and Hoi Mies Hawk Sang. A voice artist at the Phnom Penh University of Arts, popularly known as Sala Ratcha Nol, also achieved celebrity status in 1966 with Lo Lok Ni Shmol. Hits by these artists often came from the pen of lyricist Malau P, a talented poet and broadcaster now living in California, whose masterpieces include Dasimat Tropping Rong, originally performed by Kev Soccer, and in more recent times, by Touch Sonic and Lo Lok Ni Shmol. Song Siem's career seems centered on vocal performance rather than musical composition. Kostrol was recorded sometime in 1963, reminding Khmer listeners of the bitter loss of this island to South Vietnam. With Hoi Mies, Siem often accompanied Prince Sihanouk his regular provincial visits, performing popular Ram Vong songs to the masses that have come to greet Cambodia's head of state. On the other hand, despite occasional hits, such as Acacian, Susmat appeared to have been unfairly sidelined in the commercialization of music that took place with the arrival of recording productions, such as Vat Panam and later on, Chen Chaya. Susmat nevertheless retained a following among older fans, who may have been less open to Samouth's later musical innovations. Also, the popularity of the 45 revolutions per minute vinyl records forced commercially minded songwriters to work their compositions into 2.50-minute straitjackets. By then, arguably, Samouth's penchant for putting poetry to music had become a thing of the past. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, Samouth sang the soundtrack songs to a number of popular Cambodian films, such as On A Shryon, Tep Soda Chan, and Tafri Mies Bong. In Pai Chuk Sa, a 1967 success directed by T. Lemkang, Samouth captured the poignant breakup of lead actors Dee Saw Wait and Chi Yutton with his Niavia Chivit, in a beautiful series of shots choreographed to Samouth's soaring melody. T. Lemkang show the Chi Yutton leaving on a pirogue, Tuk as his wife played by Dee Saw Wait, followed on along the banks of the river. Over his long career, Samouth recorded many duets with female singing partners including, in the early 1960s, Mao Sarit, Kev Seta, Chun Vanna, Hoi Mies, Ru Sere Sotia, and Panmorn. Mao Sarit could arguably be called the first female Khmer singer to have achieved nationwide acclaim in the years following Cambodia's emerging political independence. Little is known of her early years. Folklore have it that she was a humble street seller of lottery tickets before her talents were discovered. A valuable example of her art is Sombok Krong Knoi, an early 1960s song with a haunting melody, which can be found on the internet. In 1969, Heroi Onos Chit reminded the nation, now charmed by younger upstarts, of her still considerable talents. Panmorn began recording with Samouth in 1966. Ru Sere Sotia started her career around 1967 with the hit Stung Q. Her high, crisp voice nursely balanced the deeper toned voice of Samouth. Samouth in the 1970s. As his popularity increased, Samouth could no longer keep up the pace of writing his own material, so he started performing works by other songwriters. He initially picked songs written by Pao Sipo, Svei Samir, and Malau P, but he would also occasionally sing songs composed by Mei Bun, a close friend of his, and Has Salorn. Between 1970 and 1975, He almost exclusively sang songs written by Voi Ho, a long-standing colleague. Regardless of who had written the songs, Samouth always managed to make them popular. Samouth also adapted a number of Thai songs into his repertoire, including Chnam Mun and Snach Long Viha. From 1972 to 1973, music publisher Crutch Pali issued a collection of sentimental songs, which contained 500 of Sinn Sisamouth songs. It is estimated that he wrote thousands of songs, possibly at least one for each day he was famous. His son Sinn Chaya has said. Along with his original works, Samouth also introduced many Western pop tunes to Cambodia, simply writing new verses in Khmer language. Examples include The House of the Rising Sun, As I'm Still Waiting for You, a particularly good showcase of his sustained phrasing and baritone voice, Black Magic Woman, influenced by the Santana version, under the title I Love Petite Women, and Quando My Love, personal life, marriage and family. After finishing medical school, he wedded his cousin, Kev Tawngyut, in an arranged marriage. They had 4 children. After the Khmer Rouge, only one daughter and one son survived. His family life deteriorated as a consequence of the pressures of his career and the temptations that his voice attracted. With regard to his relationship with his wife, one of his sons, Sinn Chaya, commented that no woman could pay that price. At the age of 30, his wife left him to become a Buddhist nun. Interested Khmer readers can view a recent interview she gave, posted on a popular video site. Now in her 70s, with most of her family devastated by the wars, the video also contains her appeal for financial support from Khmer fans of the late Sinja living overseas. Friends and interests. Sinn Sisamouth had a reputation for being very serious about his work. In business affairs, according to publisher Kruok Paulin, he would always deliver what he promised. At home, he was a quiet man, and would sometimes not speak more than 10 words in an entire day. When he was not performing, Samouth would lock himself in his room and dedicate his time to writing more songs. His failure to socialize contributed to a reputation for being elitist. His friends at the beginning of his career were songwriters such as Mao Sorath, Siang Di, and Susmat. His very close friends were Mei Bun and Siv Sun, who was more or less Samouth's personal secretary. Samouth was an avid fan of cockfighting, and he raised fighting birds. In his spare time, he would bet with friends. He exercised regularly by lifting weights every morning. His other interests included reading books at the library and watching French films at the Luch Prom Bayon cinemas. At night, after he finished performing, Samouth would meet with friends to eat rice porridge. He had contracts with 3 different restaurants in Phnom Penh, in which he was paid 1,500 reals to sing 2 or 3 songs. A bowl of noodles cost 5 real at the time. He usually sang at Bulthmore Bar, Neek Bagantok Bar, and the bar located next to the Interior Ministry. He was not a picky eater. He generally preferred to eat Loro food. When he ate Khmer food, he liked to eat prohok and poultry. He never drank wine or soft drinks, ate chili peppers, or smoked cigarettes, all of which would harm his voice. He always freely gave up-and-coming singers advice and reminded them to take care of their voices. His affable, caring attitude thus won him favor among his contemporaries. In the period of the Killing Fields regime, in the aftermath of the coup d'etat by the Lon Nol government on March 18, 1970, which saw the overthrow of Prince Norodom Sihanouk, Samouth started to sing propaganda songs in support of the fledgling Khmer Republic. In that rare live 1971 television show mentioned earlier, Samouth appeared in a military fatigue, wearing an officer's cap to hide his slightly balding forehead, and performed a number of pro-republican songs. One such songs that became an enduring classic was May Oye Oyon, telling the story of a mother giving a mantra-covered magic vest to her soldier son on his way to battle, referring to Viet Cong troop movements inside Cambodian territory in the Vietnam War. A verse in the same song claimed that the deposed monarch had sold out Cambodia to the Vietnamese communists. Such criticism of the royal family, while understandable at a time of huge political and social changes, was nevertheless unprecedented in Samouth's career, especially as he had been a protege of Queen Kosamak Neri-Rot, mother of Prince Sihanouk. By this time, however, and save a few memorable songs, many have questioned the quality of Samouth's final years' output. It was claimed his art was becoming formulaic and repetitive. How much he understood the extent of the hellish tragedy that was consuming Khmer society will never be known. But it was clear that by the mid-70s, he appeared to have distanced himself entirely from politics and from anything that could be misconstrued as taking sides. The Khmer Rouge takeover of Phnom Penh on April 17, 1975 saw Samouth forced to leave the city, along with millions of other residents. By this time he had remarried to a dancer in the Royal Ballet who was pregnant with the couple's second child. The circumstances of his death in the killing fields are unknown, but he had connections with the old government, was highly educated, and was an artist, all trappings of a society that Pol Pot sought to eradicate. One apocryphal story is that before he was to be executed, Samouth asked he be allowed to sing a song for the cadre, but the cold-hearted communist soldiers were unmoved, and after he finished singing, killed him anyway. One recent interview of Samouth's former wife is available on a popular internet video site. Besides an appeal for financial support for the humble remnants of Samouth's impoverished family, Samouth's widow relates souvenirs of her famed husband, Sinn Sisamouth's legacy. Because his influence on Cambodian music was so great, he is still a household name in Cambodia. His surviving son, Sinn Chaya, became a singer for the Cambodian radio, though he himself has admitted he cannot be compared to his father. Although all the master tapes of his studio recordings are thought to have been destroyed by the Khmer Rouge, his work lives on in recordings created from cassettes and LPs that have subsequently been transferred to CD, and his songs are often heard on Cambodian radio stations. Now and then some of Samouth's 1950s and early 1960s hits are brought back to life. One such hit, Shresras Khmeng, re-emerged from oblivion with Swang Chantha's 2000 faithful rendition. In recent years, his 1950s hit song View Long Sneha has been reissued by a large number of performers, including Song Sang Horn of Sayonara Productions Rhode Island, Molkar March, a singer and guitarist of the 1960s who escaped from the Khmer Rouge rule and is now living in France, Nay Seeing, a Khmer based in France, Noi Van Ned, and Im Siwarn, a female vocalist from Phnom Penh. Nevertheless, many of Samouth's taped recordings from the 50s and early 60s apparently did not survive and are feared to be lost forever. Samouth, his frequent duet partner Ru Sere Sotia, and other Cambodian singers of the era, including Mi Samorn, Chen Chaya, Chom Malay, and Pen Rawn, are featured on the soundtrack to Matt Dillon's film City of Ghosts. Tracks by Samouth are Mo Pina and Eni Te Fishpa. This article was grateful and courtesy of Wikipedia. Thanks for following my channel and watching from the beginning until end. Stay blessed.